Welcome to the Traditional Way Podcast. I'm your host, Brett Shumway. This podcast is brought to you by the Martial Arts Center Network, where you can find all things martial arts related on our social media pages and on our website at www.mainternetwork.com, where you can catch up on all the open circuit sport karate news with Inside Scoop, catch a movie review with Fists, Kicks, and Flicks, or find out what's happening in the jiu-jitsu and MMA worlds on the Winner's Circle, plus all of our sport karate videos from tournaments. And now you can catch all the Martial Arts Internetwork content on our app that is available for download on the Apple and Google stores. On this episode, I'm going to break down the Series A result event from Salzburg. It's been a while since the last Series A event because with the WKF schedule, they try to work these in around Continental Championships and Premier League events. But now that all the major tournaments are concluded, it's time for these athletes that are not in the top 32 to try and gain points towards the goal of competing on the Premier League. The third installment of the Series A of the 2025 season was held in Salzburg, Austria on the 5th through 7th of September. And it was the biggest Series A so far of the year, with over 1,200 athletes representing 82 countries in attendance. With Italy bringing the largest contingent of athletes at 145, Germany and Turkey had the next largest pool of athletes present with 84 and 72 respectively. Let's take a look at the results. Leading off with the women in the minus 50 kilogram division had 77 athletes across 8 elimination pools. In the first match of the semifinals, Yu Chen Hisayo faces off against Neve Cosgrove, where Hisayo would win that fight by the 8-point spread. The second fight of the semis saw Musarref Ozdemir face off against Katia Salcido, where Ozdemir would take that match 4-0, setting up a final where Hisayo would edge out a victory by the Senchu advantage to take home her first WKF medal and propel her into the world number 18th ranking. The minus 55 kilogram division had 96 athletes looking for those podium spots, as the Final Four kicked off with Rezan Zumera and Siria Luciano fighting to a 0-0 tie where Zumera was awarded the decision. And the second fight was Miguel Liukevuchi and Maimona Niang, where Niang would win that match 9-2. In a close final, Zumera pulls out a 3-2 victory to win the gold and move her up into the number 16th place in the division. 93 athletes step into the minus 61 kilogram division, where the first match of the semis was between Kanon Irokawa and Natalia Osachuk. They had Irokawa coming out on top of that match by a score of 2-0. Next up, Duha Rabi and Maruna Malata have a close match that would have Rabi advance after winning the 3-2 fight. An exciting final saw Irokawa win by a score of 9-6 to secure her first WKF medal. Unfortunately, it was not enough to move her up into the top 32, so she will have to stay in the Series A for just a little bit longer. The minus 68 kilogram division had 86 ladies present, and the story of the division may have been in the first fight of the Final Four, where Faral Abdelaziz and Mashiro Ikeda squared off. Abdelaziz is the Olympic champion and former U21 world champion who's had a great WKF career matching up against the first time out in the WKF Ikeda, who would go on to pull out a 2-1 victory over Abdelaziz and advance to the final. In the second match, Rebecca Marshall would lose to Lynn Snell 2-0. In the final, it was Ikeda winning her first medal at her first event in a high-scoring match that ended 9-5. Snell's silver medal would give her enough points to move her into the number 14 spot in the rankings for an athlete that's had a long career, albeit not necessarily an overly successful one. But let's hope this finish gives her the confidence to make more podiums in the future. And in the last Kumite division, the over 68 kilogram was the smallest Kumite division when the event was 62 athletes present. The semis started off with Yulia Grot walking through Miriam Yildirim by the 8-point spread. It was the same outcome in the second match of the round as Guadalupe Katzen over Laura Ziller. And in an evenly matched final, it was Krot who would win the fight by Senchu as these two ladies fought to a 4-4 tie. This is Krot's first gold medal as a veteran in the veteran age category, and she now has found the podium at every age category within the WKF. Female kata had 126 athletes present and a couple of surprises in the division. The first match of the Final Four could have easily been the final as Chiara Manka and Mylene Bui face off. The Super Empe of Manka was enough to beat the Gankaku of Bui in this matchup as she won by a half point. Next match of the round, Maiza Karadade would match up against Elena Roversi, who is back in action after taking some time off and didn't miss a step as she would win the Battle of Chatnara Kusanku by 1.3 points. In the final, it was Roversi's performance of Kishimoto no Kusanku that would defeat Mankas Paparin by 0.9 points to secure her the gold medal, placing her just outside the top 32 in the division. The final of the women's team kata came down to Hong Kong versus Italy, where the performances of Anand by the Italians came up short against Hong Kong's Paparin. They would secure the gold medal by a score of 39.9 to 38.4. The men start off with 95 athletes in the minus 60 kilogram division, where the final four came down to last year's winner of this event, Nuri Kilic, and Balsa Volchinovic. In the first fight, Volchinovic would take that match 4-0. Next match of the round saw Ka Chao and Hiroki Ito fight to a 3-3 tie, where Ito would advance on the Senchu advantage, to the final where he would lose to Volchinovic by the Senchu advantage in a 2-2 tied match. This is Volchinovic's first WKF gold medal since he was a junior. 96 men faced off against each other in the minus 67 kilogram division, where the first fight of the semis came down to Hussein Momaldi and Yurkenbek Beidarev, who had a very exciting match where Momaldi would take that victory with an 8-7 score. In the second match, it was just as exciting as Fabricio Giordano and Yusuf Kilic fought it out, with Giordano taking that match by a score of 10-7. In the final, it would be Giordano that would take home his first WKF gold medal after winning the 5-2 fight in the final. The minus 75 kilogram division had 96 athletes taking their shot at the podium. The first fight of the final four had Ricardo Franken defeating Tomas Surinkaronen in a 2-0 match, and the next match, Reiki Funado defeats Rashid Suleimanov by a score of 6-1 to advance. In the final, it was a close fight, but in the end, Funado pulled out a 5-4 victory to take home the gold and earn enough points with this win to put him in the top 32 and qualify for the Premier League's next season. 94 men step up in the minus 84 kilogram division, where the first fight of the semifinals had Hamza Taruja defeating Harua Toyota 2-0 to advance. The second fight had the same outcome as George Salaparova over Denis Piatkivsky to advance to the final, where he lost to Taruja 3-1. This was Taruja's first medal since he stepped into the new weight class earlier this year. In the over 84 kilogram division, 96 athletes entered, but the final four came down to Kenentaro Yamuchi and Mislav Plizjek, matched up in the first fight where Yamuchi wins that by a score of 3-1. The second fight, Yuta Mori beats Alexander Kozilian 4-2, setting up an all-Japanese final where Mori would win that by a score of 6-1. This is Mori's second medal of this year, as he's really found a home in this weight class. The men's kata division was packed full with 128 competitors, setting up the final four that saw Iji Otsuki facing off against Furkan Kanar in the first match, where Otsuki's Super Empe was enough to overtake the Unsu from Kanar by a score of 41.1 to 40.7. And the next match of the round, Okamoto Ken and Ricardo De Abreu faced off with another Shitaru versus Shotokan face-off. Once again, it was a Super Empe of Abreu who outscored the Goshio Sho of Ken by 1 full point. In the final, it was Atsuki's Paparin performance that took home the gold over the Anandai of his competitor by 0.4 points. In the final of the male team kata division, it was an all Shotokan showdown, as Turkey and Montenegro both opted to run Unsu in the final. But in the end, it was all Turkey who would easily take home this gold, winning the matchup by 1.1 points. The event at Salzburg had a lot going on with large division, as we've become to expect from the Series A. The biggest takeaway for me was the Japanese presence. Now, they only brought 19 athletes, which is not a lot in the grand scheme of things, as they were only the 20th most represented team in attendance compared to the other nations. But their 19 athletes did bring home 10 medals overall, including 5 golds. So their 53% success rate was definitely something that caught my attention. Now, historically, this isn't something that we're used to seeing within the Series A. Japan has not really been a huge presence in this league. But when it has happened in the past, it has been just the start of the influx of Japanese athletes within the Premier League. This will be interesting to see how that plays out into the Premier League for the 2026 season, and we'll see if Japan has a bigger role. One thing I've noticed, and this is something that I feel has to be fixed by the WKF, is that they need to start ranking Team Kata. Since the organization is starting to have Team Kata at all the youth and Series A events, They really need to start rating this division like they do the individuals, especially since they have created a specific world championships just for team events. Why then, if that's the case, then why not rank them the same way they do the other divisions that lead into a world championships? So it should not just be the winners of the Continental Championships that get invited to the Worlds. They should have a couple of spots for the highest ranked teams as well, the same way they do for the individual World Championships in the new format. It only seems fair to me that if they're going to offer this division at all of these events, then why not rank them? And with that, I want to thank you guys for watching another episode of The Traditional Way. Please join me on the next episode where I'll be breaking down the results from the last Series A event of the year from Kuala Lumpur. Until then, continue to support the Martial Arts Internet Network by liking and sharing all of our content, and make sure you download the main app where you can catch all of your sport karate information at the tip of your fingers and on demand. Until next time, guys.